All right, let's talk about the straight arm lock. You guys, if you want to come over here to this side, it's going to be easier for you to see, okay, we're moving from here. So the straight arm lock from the mounted position, this is lesson 9, section 1, it happens anytime the person extends their arms against me. Tries to push me off, perhaps from the mounted position. If they push me and they push hard enough and they're strong enough and I don't have my mount controls in place, I can fall. And I can fall pretty easily. Let's go back. You can be over here.
Okay.
So when they push me like this and they extend their arms, I'm going to move to the straight arm lock. All right, so how do we move through this scenario? Once we move to the end of the position, that's the place where we should start talking about it. Because if we don't understand how to control the final movement, then getting there won't matter, because on the way, they'll be freed. So let's just look at how we control the final position. Remember, the straight arm lock happens because they extend their arms, either on my chest, or maybe they're trying to choke me from here. That's fine too. So here we are in the beginning of the final phase, right? The knees must be very tight together. The feet have to be heavy on the ground. And the arm has to be extended up, extended up. The heels also have to be pulling in close to the body. And from this position where the arm is extended, I would put the arm on my chest and then very gradually lift my hips. And that's going to make the person tap. It takes the elbow and it bends it backwards over itself so that it dislocates. So very painful for them, not necessary for me to go all the way with this in a street fight unless I have an extremely aggressive or violent or non-compliant attacker. This is something that can be used to exert a level of force against someone to gain the compliance that I need to keep myself safe until help arrives or until I can escape entirely. So from this position, there's a couple ways that the person can become free from this, right? One of them is that they could take my leg and put it over their head, and that's why it's very important for me to have my knees together. Right, now go ahead and try and take the leg over the head. So I just keep the knees together so they can't do that, right? Another thing they can do is they can just do a sit-up. Sit straight up, go to your knees, and on the way they pull the arm out. So it's very important for me, let's go back, to hold them down. And how do I do that? I keep the feet heavy on the ground. And maybe I even need to lean this way a little bit with my knees, right? And keep the weight down. So now if they try and sit up, I'm holding them down with the downward pressure, right? Maybe if I'm really short and my feet can't reach the ground, as long as I'm trying to put them there, it's going to be enough downward force to make it hard for them to sit up. Another thing they can do is they can shrimp away, just like we do in the warm-ups, and they can pull and shrink the elbow. Right? And they can keep going until they shrink the elbow and it comes out. Right? I no longer have the position that I need to finish the arm lock because the arm has disappeared. So 2 things here will help that. One of them is the heels in, dragging inward the whole time, keeping them close to me. The second is that I hold the wrist just like this, like a baseball bat, and I want to pull the arm up and have it stretched all the time. And the easiest way to do that is to just keep it on my chest. So when I squeeze the knees together and make the feet heavy and pull the heels in and keep the arm on my chest, now when they try and shrink away, the arm's tight. So what we'll do is we'll start in this position. You don't have to start from the mount. Start from here, sit next to your partner, and have them give you their arm. Both legs go over the body. The knees are together. Another thing they can do is pull away, right? They can just maybe grab their arm with their other arm, and they can just pull it free. So the knees together help prevent that as well. Sit next to them, put your knees together, your feet heavy, hold the arm, and lay back like this, and keep the arm off the wrist. Keep the arm off the chest for now, just so you can test the controls. Right? Have them try and put your leg over the head. Squeeze the knees together there to stop that. Have them try and sit up. I put my feet down heavy, and I pull the arm. Have them try and shrink away. So I keep the heels in, and I keep the arm stretched. And now, once they've struggled for about 5 or 10 seconds, testing all of my controls, I then put the wrist on the chest, and very, very slowly, I lift my hips until they tap. So slowly that it's impossible to have an accident. This is a dangerous lock for the arm, so let's treat each other's arms as well as we can by moving through this at a super slow rate of speed. Right? Lock the knees together, make the feet heavy, drag the heels in, hold the wrist, sit back very slowly, and now keeping the hand off the chest for the purpose of practicing this drill, have the person test your controls for about 5 or 10 seconds. Go ahead. And then they stop, say, okay, things are good. Put the hand on the chest and very gradually raise the hips until you hear them tap. The bottom guy, if he wants to stay extra safe, he'll tap me to make sure that I feel it. Because with everyone tapping in the room, we're not sure where the sound's coming from sometimes. So get in this habit for safety. Okay, then we'll come back and we'll look at some common mistakes and how to address them. Let's go. All right, let's look at some common mistakes from the straight arm lock from the mount position that allow the person to either escape or keep us from finishing the movement. One of the things that happens a lot is when we fall to this position, the thumb is pointed the wrong way. If the thumb is down in this position, it's going to be very hard for us to make the arm bend the way it needs to bend, because he'll be able to twist the arm, bend the elbow, and pull free. So the critical element here is that the thumb should be going to the sky. Every time we see the thumb down, we need to turn the thumb to the sky. That's why we grab. It's one of many reasons why we grab using the baseball bat grip, because it offers us maximum rotational control. Right, so make sure you're holding the arm like this. If you're falling back and all your other control elements are in place and you see that the thumb is down, take the thumb and turn it. Turn it until it's up. Right? Guy on the bottom, if somehow you see that the thumb is down, then, and the partner's not turning it up, then just say, hey, my thumb's down. Wait, that's why it's not working. And remind him, right? We've got to help each other here. Okay? Second thing that can happen, second most common mistake, is that from this position, I cross the feet. I cross the feet. If my feet are crossed, I'm pulling with I'm pulling with one unit instead of two. Right? When I cross my feet, I make it just like one giant leg. So it's not as complete or covered as it would be if I have both feet next to each other and I'm pulling in the same plane. It also makes the bottom leg a little loose, so he can just take his hands and lift it up and put it right over his head. So don't cross the feet. Don't cross the feet. Another common mistake, let's say the third mistake that happens frequently, the third issue we run into, is that sometimes it's really painful, especially for the guys, when the elbow's in the groin, right? It's not so nice. So when we fall back like this, and we're starting to feel some discomfort because the elbow's in the groin, take the arm and just move it south. That's all. Not this way, because look, now the elbow bends. And there's no arm lock, because the arm lock means we keep the elbow locked and it doesn't bend, or it bends the wrong way. So take the arm and just put it here. And now when you move, you'll see it's easier for the arm lock to work, right? And then the last thing that happens pretty commonly, the fourth most common mistake, is that the legs tend to be sort of straight. Now, without the base on the ground, from my feet, I won't be able to lift the hips. And that's what makes the lock work in its final phase. So if my legs are up, look, how am I going to lift my hips here? I can't. So it's important that my legs aren't straight. I don't want to be like this. I want my feet flat, not my legs straight, flat. And then I can use that as a base from which I turn the thumb up, perhaps pull the arm a little bit south so it doesn't crush the groin, pin it to the chest, keep the feet uncrossed, and now I have this final position I can move to where I lift the hips. And look, I barely move and he's going to tap because everything's set. Okay? So again, common mistakes. The thumb goes down, so use this rotation to turn it up. The feet are crossed so he can move them over, so keep them next to each other. The legs have to be heavy on the ground. The legs have to be heavy on the ground. Okay? And then finally, which means they're not straight. All right? We're good? Any questions on this? Okay, let's try these out.